In telesales, the first 30 seconds is everything, as far as I'm concerned. Probably more than half where you should spend your time practicing and preparing and getting good at, because that's where the client makes their decision if they're going to listen to you or not. Okay. If you can get good at this, and you should spend the time getting good at this, this is when you'll run into the opportunity, or this is when you'll maximize your opportunity for success in the business. Okay. If you don't get good at this, if you kind of just put it off and don't take it seriously, even if you spend all of the rest of your time getting the presentation down pat perfectly, if you can't get through the first 30 seconds, it's all for nothing. I mean, think about it. Like, this 2-hour call would never have happened if she wasn't as good as she was starting the call. So everything, the door of the sale hinges on the opening. So just focus on opening 100%, not just maybe, but if I were to take your whole time that you spend scripting, half of it should be the opening. And what should you do? At the first, it's just getting the script down, memorizing the script, rehearsing it a bunch. Then you should record yourself. You should say it in front of your spouse, people who are willing to listen, the dog even. Then you need to have them get more aggressive with you. Get pushback. Tell them to push back. I'm not interested. I'm busy. What do you want? Go through all of the different variations of what you can hear. Nice people, mean people, and everything in between. And what you ultimately want to be prepared with is, by the time it's game time and you're working real leads, there's no mystery about what you're going to hear. And there's certainly no confusion about what you're going to say. You've heard it all. You practice it all. Because if you can get through that initial pushback, sometimes, and many times, there's just something that clicks and people just go ahead and agree, they submit, and they continue to listen. And it's at that point, yeah, tonality and the rest of the script's important. But if you can't even keep them on the phone in the opening, it's all for nothing. So it is well worth your time to get really good at that opening script. Does that make sense? Again, the 30 seconds, this is critical. You've got to get past the beginning and get into the presentation when you're doing telesales. You cannot prematurely engage the client to ask you questions, because what they're going to start to do is qualify you. What is this about? Who are you? Why should I listen? And then that will build momentum, and you'll run into problems even getting through the first 30 seconds of a telesales call. So what we teach agents deliberately to do is to eliminate pauses and to not solicit questions until we've said our piece in the beginning. Who we are, why we're calling, selling the appointment, and then asking the rapport building question. Because I want them to engage with me based off of all of that information provided to them. If I start saying something like, hey, your favorite hobby was fishing, right? They're going to be like, what is this about? Who are you? They're going to start taking away my thunder, thinking I'm going to sell them and be in some 2-hour-long call, which, yeah, it may turn out that way. But I want to sell them on talking to me. I haven't even done that yet. So the way that we avoid that is not asking questions until we have to, so that we can lay it all out on the table and give ourselves the maximal advantage to getting the call going. Does that make sense? The key thing with rapport building, you don't need but a couple of minutes. You don't need to have breadth of rapport. You just need depth. Okay. So what do I mean by that? If you find that they're talking about retirement and what they do and the things they stay busy with is an engaging conversation they're enjoying, you don't have to ask about the grandkids. You don't have to ask about what part of the country you're in. You don't have to do that extra stuff. We only have those questions in there if you don't feel like you're getting a good connection from the client by asking other rapport building questions, right? Generally speaking, the goal is to find the right question that engages the prospect in an interesting way, because if you can engage them and focus the rapport on them for a couple minutes tops, that's all you need to do to break that trust barrier and then continue. It's okay to talk about yourself in rapport building. The thing is, you want to ratio it to, like, every time you talk about yourself, you talk 3 times as much about the client, right? Like there needs to be building some commonality. I think that's important. It's okay to talk about yourself. What's not okay is to talk too much about yourself, right? But talking about yourself comes after you've talked and listened to your prospect extensively, right? So like, if I'm talking 2 minutes in rapport, 90 seconds of that should be listening and asking questions focused on the prospect, and 30 seconds making a commonality connection.